Season 2 of the PatJT podcast.
Oh man, I'm here at last. The best time, always gonna be the best. Come on!
Exclusively on the Hurrdat Media Network.
All right.
Father's Day is right around the corner, and me being a father, I can attest that Omaha Steaks is a fantastic gift for Father's Day. Like we mentioned earlier this week, it's also great for Mother's Day too, but we missed that boat. We'll get it next year. Father's Day, though, go to omahasteaks.com, and in the search bar, type PatJT, P-A-T-J-T, and it's going to unlock huge savings for you on the Get Out and Grill assortment. I got this assortment just a couple of weeks ago. 4 boneless chicken breasts, and if you haven't had chicken from Omaha Steaks, if you didn't know they have chicken, it's the best chicken I've ever had. Omaha Steak Burgers, Jumbo Franks, Omaha Steakhouse Fries, which are amazing, and desserts from Omaha Steaks. You get 4 caramel apple tartlets, which they're warm. It's not like a cold dessert sort of thing. That's all just a portion of the Get Out and Grill assortment when you use PatJT in the search bar at omahasteaks.com. It's awesome. Great gift for Father's Day. All right, let's get into the show. Something else that's back this year, the Pinnacle Bank Championship, and with Jessica and Alexis are in with us, and you guys run the show out at the tournament, correct?
Guilty.
Yeah.
We do. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you bet. Now, first of all, let's talk about this year's tournament, what's going on. And I want to go back to last year, how it was completely flipped upside down with COVID, and how you guys navigated that, and just kind of your story behind that whole thing. So what the tournament this year, when's it happening?
So we're August 9th through the 15th. So that second week of August.
Okay. And where is it at?
We're at the club at Indian Creek out in Elkhorn.
Okay. Beautiful course.
It really is.
Ate my lunch last year, by the way. Crushed me.
I've heard that the rough is always terrible, but
I'm always in the rough too.
I know. I can't even hit the ball. So, I
So you guys run the show. You don't have to golf at all. Like you're like an ace golfer. It's like that's why I'm going to go in and run the show here.
Nope.
No.
We always joke that if you like to golf, you shouldn't work in golf because you don't always have the opportunities. Like,
that's true.
Yeah, I was even on a call this morning, and I said, it's really nice outside. I wish I could go out and enjoy it. And they're like, well, you'll get to soon. I go, we're going to be working out of a construction trailer, and we'll look out the window at a golf course. It's going to be beautiful, and I'll go outside to check the build, but it's not like I get to play around every day.
Yeah, I never thought about it. Talk about a tease. Like if you did like golf and you went into that, seeing it every day and not having the time would drive you crazy.
We had an intern last year, and he was fantastic, but like during lunch, he would get his clubs out of the back of his car and go like hit balls at the driving range or in the practice greens.
Just to get out of his system?
Yeah, and we'd be like, this is great, but in a couple of weeks, you can't do this anymore.
It's go time.
It's go time. Because it's our busiest time of year. So once the weather gets nice, everybody wants to think about golf. So that's when the sales go crazy. And for us, like just making sure that we're getting everybody the information that they need. And then the build starts. So once the ground isn't frozen anymore, things go crazy. So it is very year round for us.
So what, last year there were no fans there. Correct. None at all. And this year, are we full? Anybody? Yes. Everybody can come?
Yes.
Come on out.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. Last year had to be weird. I was lucky enough. Thank you guys for inviting us to play in the Pro-Am. So it was a really cool experience. So I can't, knowing what we did, and there were obviously no fans watching us hack the ball around. So knowing that was the same experience that they had during the actual tournament would be, I would think, pretty weird for these guys.
We were super lucky to be able to have those Pro-Ams. We were only the second tournament. So after play went back, we were only the second tournament that was available to have Pro-Am. So that was, for us, that was extremely exciting to be able to have guys like you come out, or other sponsors that couldn't participate in the tournament in other ways. They couldn't have their sponsor tickets. They couldn't come out during play. So it was a great opportunity for us to at least give them a little bit of an experience last year, which kept people excited. So they were really excited to come back for this year. But yeah, we joked that we saw more golf last year than we have in 4 years, because it was just like, we don't have any fires to put out because there's not 40,000 people here. So let's go sit down on 17 and have our lunch. And we got to eat meals. So that was fun. But I think for the players, especially, I don't know, they're professional athletes. So I think a lot of their focus is so internal. Golf is such an individual sport.
True.
So I don't know how much the crowd really, I mean, I think probably on Sunday it affects them, or like down on 17 when it's really crowded and noisy. I think that's exciting for them. But for the most part, I don't know how much it really.
It's true. It's not like golf. The crowd amps them up. It's like they're quiet. And they have to focus. So that's true. That's a good point.
But I think they're excited to have crowds back, especially here. Omaha shows up.
Really?
And so, you know, a lot of the Corn Ferry Tour events are very well attended and are fun, but, you know, Omaha is just a great town to have a professional golf tournament. And so people show up and it's fun. So they love coming here. They love coming here.
You know, and we didn't even find out, we weren't even approved until Memorial Day to have our event from local healthcare.
At all? Like the whole?
Yeah, local
Sure.
health officials. So, you know, we put together a plan, and, you know, we have year-round full-time jobs. And so when all this happened, like everything else, everyone else, we're working from home, but it's trying to decide, okay, you know, you keep selling your ticket packages as normal. What do we keep doing? How are we going to plan? And then it was, okay, well, we know we're not going to shoot for spectators, so we're going to have our pro-ams. That's ideal for us. How can we do that? How many volunteers we need? And so working through that, you know, we had planned, I think we had 4 different contingency plans, trying to figure out what we were going to do and keep moving forward with all of them. And finally got to a point in working with the tour, like, we got to commit so we can actually put on a great tournament with what we're able to do. So I, like everyone else, I would never want to live through that again, but we made it.
Yeah.
Well, and it was interesting because, you know, local healthcare officials had to take a critical look at, okay, what happens when the PGA Tour comes to town? So, you know, it's kind of a traveling circus. You know, I mean,
yeah, I bet.
You know, it's not just everybody just shows up and plays golf. You know, there were so many moving parts last year to keep everybody safe, to keep the players safe and the caddies safe, and maintain the bubble and keep our staff safe. Because even though, you know, we weren't having spectators, there was still a fair amount of stuff that had to go on the golf course in order to make the event happen. You know, we still had some vendors that had to be out there for the pro-ams, for food and for beverages. But I think we totaled it up that when the PGA Tour showed up, between the players and the caddies and the PGA Tour, it was about 500 people.
Wow.
That just them and the players and their staff and their media team, and when they show up. So,
and we were being protective of our community too. You know, we wanted to make sure that what they were bringing into town, that we were going to be okay. And because there's a lot of different departments of the tour that you don't realize. You don't realize there's the tour media and the rules officials you might see if you're watching TV because someone needs a ruling, or the operations crew. They're running the truck, the back end with the scoring. There's just a lot of different people out there.
Well, like you said before we started recording, that a lot of people think that you guys just work for 3 months out of the year and that's it and it's done. But it's a full year-round gig. And you guys run the show. And our films department, Hurrdat Films, did a documentary kind of on the tournament, and it was 5 years ago, you said, is when it was shot. And you guys, and at the time, first of all, what are your roles at the tournament, other than being boss?
Sure. So I'm Jessica Brabec. I'm the tournament director.
Okay.
And I'm the director of operations and events.
So are you guys, in the documentary, they mentioned at the beginning that you guys are you the only 2 women running tournaments across the country?
4 of us in the office now.
Okay.
At the time when that was filmed, when we first started, there were 3 of us that worked year-round full-time. So Gary Javo is on our team as well.
Love Javo.
Sales role. Yep, everyone does. You got to have him on. He's
Uncle
always
Java.
entertaining. I can be having lunch somewhere, and you can hear someone say, "That's Gary Javo's voice." Like,
He is a dandy.
I'm like, go sign an autograph. I'll just be fine. And then Tracy Fisher joined our team last January, and the sales role as well. So now we have 4 people that work year-round full-time.
That's awesome. What about like nationally, as far as 2 women running a tournament? I mean, I would think, is that a rarity anymore?
So we have an organization like of women on the Corn Ferry Tour that chit chat about either you're a tournament director or in sales, but I don't know, and we would have to do some research, but I don't know that there's another team of tournament director and director of operations.
Alexis might be the only director of operations that's a woman on the Corn Ferry
That's
Tour.
awesome.
So I know
That's why everything's done right and organized and no screw ups.
I don't know about that.
Well,
but there's a lot of times where people don't really know what to do with me.
it's because you're polite.
I don't scream at people, and I don't cry.
That's good. See, a lot of people don't know what to do with that. Like, she's not crying, she's not screaming. What's
right?
the position?
But that's pathetic, really.
Yeah. No, that's good because it messes with people.
Right, that if I'm in a leadership role as a female and I have to deal with men all the time, that I'm going to either scream and cry. Sorry.
Oh, man.
But I bet there are some days when things are just hitting the fan and you want to do both at the same time.
Oh,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
And we share an office. Once we move out to the tournament, we have trailers that we, office trailers, like at a construction site that Hausman Construction donates to us, and we live there for 6 months or 6 weeks out of the summer. And she and I share a room about this size.
Oh, this is big.
Yeah, this is big.
Our end of the
I feel like maybe ours is smaller than this. Maybe it's like 12 by 12. But we're
Gary
in
and
there.
Tracy are on the other end, and we put a couple interns in the middle. And I mean, we live out there, so our Keurig is out there, the microwave, the copier. We just move our office out there. You have to come check it out.
Yeah. And so we're sitting like this 18 hours a day
Right.
for 6 weeks. And so, there's moments where it's like, okay, we're going to close this door, we're going to close this door, and then we're going to open up our secret refrigerator and cry. No.
Got to have a secret refrigerator.
Well, and I remember too, when we were talking about the documentary, when we had our interns watch it, which is great reference points. They know what they're getting into. But I think it was me that they got on camera saying, I haven't eaten lunch today, so I'm eating over the trash can.
Yeah.
Like that happens a lot.
What? Hey, do what you
just
got to
trying
do.
Eat, right. Eat when you can and eat on the run. And, there's a lot of times where like, okay, who has sunscreen on? Like everybody out. Let's spray everybody with the sunscreen so you can stay safe.
That was the
Who
best
needs
outtake.
water?
That is funny.
Those are the best
Yeah.
outtakes. If you look at that, they have like a series of, 2 minutes of straight us spraying each other with sunscreen.
I bet it's so freaking hot.
It
And
is.
the sun is so intense. I mean, you have to constantly.
Well, and we have what we call the family text. So as soon as like the interns start to work, we do take on kind of this motherly role to make sure that they take care of themselves during this time. Like we don't really care about worrying about ourselves, but it's like we don't want them to get too tired. We don't, we want to make sure that everybody eats. We want to make sure that everybody doesn't get sunburned. I mean, we laugh about it, but it's true because
can
if
get
one,
sick. Yeah.
you can get sick, and if one person goes down, that's a problem. Like everybody has a role and everybody has to fulfill that role. And if somebody gets sick or goes down, the rest of us have to pick up the slack, and there's a lot to do. So we just have to make sure that, I don't want to say we're babysitters because we're not. We want to make sure that everybody's healthy and happy, and we have everybody's coffee order. Everybody knows what everybody likes to eat from certain restaurants because we eat at all the same places all the time that are close to the golf course. Runza takes all our money.
I could think of worse places.
I know,
Right.
right.
Yeah. So what's your favorite part of doing the tournament? You got to have like one thing like I can't wait for this year. And you guys are in the weeds, so
Yeah.
Sure. Gotta think about that. I always feel like at times it's always a family reunion, the week of the event, because
even the players and their
the players
staff
and the volunteers that come out or sponsors. You've met with the sponsor once or twice during the year, but then getting to see them play in the Pro-Am or enjoy some tickets. Or those volunteers in our leadership roles, we meet once a month. But if it's someone that comes out, and she's always a greeter at a certain hole. So I think that part of it's always fun. Just the excitement to see the community come out and support the event.
Yeah. And Omaha does show up, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think it's going to be crazy this year too. It's
Oh man,
gonna
people
be
are
fun.
so ready just to get out and be around
gonna be
other
nuts.
human beings.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
And be outside. I mean,
Yeah.
fingers crossed we get good weather. But even if it's not good weather, I think people are still going to be like, well, we're going to put my galoshes on and we're going to head right out there.
Lightning, who cares? Lightning,
Right.
whatever. We're just going to stand out under the
Right?
trees. Yeah, we're so sick of being in our basements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun though once the PGA Tour shows up because then like we're out there by ourselves. I mean, by ourselves. We're out there with all of our construction crews and all the people that help us build the tournament. But once the PGA Tour shows up and like the rules officials get there and we have advanced operations, like it starts to feel real. And we went to the Kansas City tournament a few weeks ago. And it's just great to see everybody all the time because we only get to see them a couple times a year.
And that's where the crabbiest and the most tired and you're run down and it's very like direct. You're like, okay, Shane, I need you to do this. And he goes and does it. And it's not like hey buddy, how's it going? Let's go have a drink. Let's catch lunch.
Right.
You can't do any of that.
You got to cut to the chase.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I worked for the Omaha Royals for 6 years. And when the College World Series would come to town, it was like a week or two before that. I was a bat boy, then I was on the grounds crew. So when I got to the grounds crew, I really understood what it took to get the field in according to the NCAA to their specs.
Sure,
You'd have 2 weeks ahead of time where you'd have NCAA officials down on their stomachs looking at the level of the ground, measuring the grass. So I can only imagine that's on the collegiate level. You're on the professional level that it's kind of got to be the same. Like it's a little stressful.
And we're super lucky that superintendent out at Indian Creek, Jim Nedrow, is amazing, and his crew is spectacular. And they're worried about that now. I mean, once he was talking about it the other day about waking up the grass and making sure everything is doing what it should be so that it can be to that PGA Tour level once they get here. So agronomy, I mean, they visit. In the winter, they visit regularly to meet with Jim Nedrow, and then
and I get the agronomist reports that talk about it. I'm like,
Sounds super
I don't know
exciting.
half what half of that means. Like, is that
No
good?
idea.
Is it bad?
Exactly.
If you don't hear news, I guess it's good.
I guess it's
Right? No news is good news. Yeah, exactly. And then rules shows up, and you're right. They're like, okay, well, we need to make sure everything, or your structure is far enough away from the fringe. And, okay, if they're at the tee box, if you build too high, then, you're going to inflict on the view that they have when they're teeing off the tee box. So it's keeping all those things in mind as we start to design the build and make sure that everything is as it should be. But, once the scaffolding goes in the ground,
It's going.
What are you going to do?
It's kind of where it is.
Yeah, it's kind of where
It's kind of where it is. And, making sure that we don't hit power lines and we don't hit irrigation lines. And so, there's a lot of pieces to that puzzle.
I think people are really amazed when they go out to Indian Creek when it's not the tournament and they don't realize how much we build out there. They don't realize that the fence in a certain area isn't typically there, that there's not trash cans everywhere because we put trash cans out. So I think that's kind of a wake-up call sometimes for people if they've never been to the course in normal conditions. You should go out there. You should go play around. It's great.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And then do you guys still do like the 19th hole party time at
We
10?
do not.
Don't?
So we really focus on, as much as I also enjoyed the 19th hole back in the day, but we just really focus on being a family event. Our goal is to give money back to charity. And so we benefit the Children's Hospital Foundation because the tournament itself is a nonprofit. So we really just come out, party, have a good time during the day. Play is going to go until about 7 o'clock Thursday through Sunday because we're live on the Golf Channel this year.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
So if you can't make it out or you can't make it to town,
That's a big deal.
Yes, it is.
Is that the first time?
Prime time.
What?
Yes.
5 to 7.
Yes,
Holy
5
cow.
to 7.
Nice. Well, congrats on that
Yes.
one.
Thank you.
excited.
Yeah, and the 19th hole was fun, but there's like
Yes.
nothing of no. I mean, it's probably a good thing it's gone. I'm just saying.
I remember going back to
Yeah.
college and friends saying, hey, I went to this cool party. I'm like, yeah, I probably cleaned up your beer can.
Yeah, right. I'm sure you're
Thank
so like
you.
over it.
Right. Yes.
Yes,
Mhm.
it's the last thing you want to focus on.
Right. So
Yeah.
and so we want to be good neighbors to the community too and to the people that live out there.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yes.
Well, you guys, thanks for coming in.
Yes.
I appreciate it. And again, the tournament is when? How do people get tickets? Are you still looking for sponsors or anything like that?
All of the above.
All the above?
So
Everything.
so we are August 9th through the 15th at the club at Indian Creek. Tickets are live on sale now on our website, the Pinnacle Bank Championship.com. We are accepting volunteers up from now until the tournament, so you don't have to be a golf fan to come out and volunteer. We have a lot of different roles available for you to choose from. We have many sponsorships available if you're looking for hosting your clients out there from a hospitality side. We have a couple pro-ams left on Monday and Wednesday. If you want to have that chance to play with the professional golfer, those are going quick. They probably won't make it till the end of the month.
Okay.
But we're ready to go.
And that's fun. That is a
Yes.
lot of fun. It's. I love it how at least the two pros that we had were so invested in us. Like they had a good time watching us hack it around and laugh and give us tips. And it's really cool to, if you are into golf at all, which I golf once every couple of years, maybe, so I'm really not. But to get just one or two tips from these guys, and we didn't ask, they offered, and it was just a lot. It was just a really fun time.
And they also understand that for us, our sponsors are what keeps the tournament running. They're what puts money in the bank so we can
Sure.
pay our bills and give money to charity. So they understand that they need to make sure you have a good time. That
Well, we
you
did.
guys that they give you some tips and don't hassle you too much about your swing.
Oh, it was fun. It was good. After a while, he's like, "Dude, you're killing so many worms with that swing." I'm like, whatever. Worms can't be
Thanks
good.
a lot.
Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate you guys coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You got it. And everything we talked about, all the links to the website and the documentary, all the links are in the description of the podcast. Thanks for listening to the PatJT podcast.
PatJT Podcast, a Hurrdat Media Production.